Kling 2.1 is supposed to rival the quality and prompt adherence of Kling 2.0, but be faster and cheaper. I like that. Let's take it for a spin and see how it does. Kling 2.1 has 3 quality options. If we select the Kling 2.1 model on the video generation page, we can choose between Standard, which is the fastest and cheapest version. That one will be 20 credits for a 5-second image to video here on the Kling platform. Professional, which says richer details and superior quality, is 35 credits for a 5-second video. And there's a third option. We have to come back up to the model drop down, and then we can choose Kling 2.1 Master, which says superb dynamics and prompt adherence. And that one runs 100 credits for a 5-second video. If we use Kling 2.1 Standard or Professional, we can have sound effects built into the video. That's currently free on the Kling platform. And if you don't want it to generate sound effects with your video, just turn off this toggle. I went ahead and left the sound effects on for this video with Kling 2.1 Pro. It follows the prompt pretty well. It's got the woman typing intently, the dog shifts around on that dog bed down there, and the camera does arc around from her side around to being in front of her. The sound effects are a little weird. I'm not sure if that's typing or rain or some combination. And when the dog moves around, there seems to be some morphing or melting in his face. So I went ahead and tried that one with Kling 2.1 Master. And with Master, you don't have the option to have the sound effects generated when you generate the video. That's perfectly fine with me, and otherwise this video turned out really well. No morphing or melting in the dog's face this time. Here we've got a group of friends cooking and chatting in the kitchen.
It's this, yeah!
I don't recognize any of those words. Maybe it's in a language that I don't know, which is most of them. Beyond that, there's some weirdness in the video. The guy on the far left moves the knife over toward the end of the counter. It takes steam with it. He kind of waves it near the woman in the black shirt, and then her hand turns into a utensil or something. I went ahead and tried that one with Kling 2.1 Pro again, this time just leaving the prompt blank.
The thing here with the rediscovered and I recently renegotiated.
This time I'm almost positive those are not real words in any language. Let me know if I'm wrong. There's still something weird happening with the hand of the woman at the end of the bar there, but this guy stirring whatever's not in that pot with a knife is just weird. I didn't keep going with this one with different models or prompts because I felt like the real issue was the starting image. I either should have edited that knife to be a spatula or spoon, or used a better starting image. Here we should have the squirrel jump onto the bench next to the man, and the man is surprised. The sound effects on this one are okay, I guess. And for the video part, the squirrel jumps up, actually onto the guy, not onto the bench, but that's okay. My biggest issue with this one is once the squirrel jumps up and the man does get surprised, the squirrel turns into not a squirrel. So that was with Kling 2.1 Pro. I went ahead and tried it with Kling 2.1 Master. Again, no sound effects with Master, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I like the motion, the jump, the guy is definitely surprised, and the squirrel maintains his appearance a lot better than it did with the 2.1 Pro. Here we got a figure in an alley, and we want to come face to face with him. For the video side of things, no complaints. That's exactly what I was looking for. Now for the sound effects, it sounds like I'm fumbling with the microphone, and that's not what's happening here. Those are the sound effects that Kling added. I don't know what it's supposed to sound like. This is another one where I just gave it the image and no prompt in Kling 2.1 Pro. The sound effects in this one are plausible, and as far as the video, I'm not quite sure what's passing by in the window behind her, but unless you needed something specific, this would probably work. I went ahead and tried the same image, no prompt, using Kling 2.0 Master. The train moves a little bit slower and in a different direction, and a few of the little details are different, but the motion's good. I don't see any morphing. I'd call it a win. Now this guy is supposed to run up the steps, open the door, and step inside the cabin, and the camera is supposed to follow the subject and zoom in. On the sound effects front, there's a lot more footsteps there than this guy makes, so I don't know what that's doing. As far as the video, it's doing what I asked for in the prompt. The guy's running up the steps, he goes through the door in the cabin, and the camera follows him and zooms in. But it looks to me like he's awful clumsy and floppy going up the steps and in the door. So I tried that again, same image, same prompt with Kling 2.1 Master. This time I like the way he's moving up the steps and across the porch a lot better, but then, instead of going to the door, he goes to the window, touches the outsides of the window, and then it magically pops open in the middle, and the left side turns into stained wood while the right side stays painted white. Very strange. This is some security camera footage of a bear walking up the driveway, stands, looks directly into the camera. The sound effects are just doing me in. For the visual part, he's coming up the driveway. I noticed that he did not stand like I asked, but I also realized that apparently the height of this camera, if this bear stood up, we'd be looking at his belly and that wouldn't work. So good job, Kling, for not doing what I asked for and instead giving me something that worked better. I ran this one again, everything the same except using Kling 2.1 Master. The bear moseys on up the driveway and looks right into the camera. It's a little higher quality and more detail than the Kling 2.1 Pro, but since this is supposed to be like security camera, ring camera footage, it'd be okay if this wasn't super high quality. Just for comparison, I also ran it in Kling 2.0 Master. Bear comes up the driveway just fine, stops a little short of where I'd like him to, and then kind of looks up at the camera. I thought it might be fun to have somebody walking down the sidewalk across the street and notice this was going on, so I added that into the prompt and ran it with Kling 2.1 Pro. Those footstep sound effects just don't go here at all. But that aside, the bear does great coming up the driveway looking at the camera, but this woman is not on the sidewalk across the street, she's in the front yard, and she seems to have no fear of this bear whatsoever. I'm thinking maybe she's from the HOA and she's there to issue some kind of a citation for having a pet that's not allowed. I tried it with Kling 2.1 Master, and this time the woman's a little farther away, but she's still in the yard, not on the sidewalk across the street. So I changed up that prompt a little bit and put the across the street as a separate phrase kind of before I said a woman walking on the sidewalk. Ran it in Kling 2.1 Master, and that didn't help at all. The bear looks fine, but the woman's way closer than I wanted her to be. I tried the modified prompt where I put across the street earlier in the prompt. I tried that in Kling 2.1 Pro. Let's just forget about the weird sound effects. At least the woman is on a sidewalk this time, not the one across the street, and I'm not sure what kind of clothing is flapping or morphing or whatever's happening there, but I do appreciate that she notices the bear and then decides to just stay behind the tree. Seems the most plausible of all our generations so far. To create a video using Kling 2.1, go to the Kling AI website, click the Create button in the upper right hand corner, then over on the left, click Video. That brings you to the video generation page. Up at the top, you have the model dropdown. Kling 2.1 is where you can generate with standard or pro. I don't really do a lot with standard. Usually I use professional, and if things don't work out, then I'll try master. And if you want to use master, you'll need to come up to this dropdown and select it separately. It's got its own little entry in the dropdown. We're going to stay with Kling 2.1. We'll leave this on professional, and we need to bring in a starting image. Kling 2.1 only works with image to video. If you switch to text to video, you'll get this warning that it's not available with Kling 2.1 and that you've been switched to a compatible model, which is 1.6. And that's not what we want, so we'll drop that down, click 2.1, it brings us back to image to video. Multi-elements is also not available with Kling 2.1. If you select that, it will switch the model to Kling 1.6. That's not what we want, so we're going to drop it back to 2.1. And also, elements is not available with 2.1. If you select that, you'll get the warning and it'll switch you over to 1.6. Again, not what we want. We'll switch it back to 2.1. So the only option you have for using 2.1 is image to video with frames. Now there is a start and end frame down here, but 2.1 does not support the use of an end frame. So we're going to give it the start frame, but we cannot give it an end frame. You can select that starting image from your history. You can click, you can drop, you can paste. I'll drag and drop an image from my computer. Now the prompt is optional. You can leave that blank if you want. And if you do want to use use a prompt, there's some tools here like the Help Center that has their guide for video prompting. You can also have DeepSeek generate the prompt either by clicking this link within the prompt box or clicking this DeepSeek button. When you click that button, it'll start analyzing the image to figure out what it's working with. The thing I don't like about this is that I can't clear out the history, and that caused me some problems earlier when I somehow managed to keep copying in the squirrel prompt with the new image I was working on, and I got all confused and wanted to incorporate the jumping squirrel from back here in the new image of the guy in the alley. I tried to tell it to just clear out the history, and it said I was welcome to start fresh by simply closing this chat. Well, I don't know how to close the chat. If I click the X button and then go back in, well, there's all the history. So just pay attention, make sure you haven't gotten twisted up like I did and end up with a jumping squirrel somewhere they shouldn't be. So it's figured out what this image is and it's described it here. If I want to use that, I can just click use prompts and it'll move this prompt over into the prompt box. Of course, if I want to make changes, I can describe the changes down here or give it an entirely different direction, like the spaceship darts past the moon rapidly. Click the go button and it should turn my quick little thing into something that'll make more sense to the AI to generate this video. Another tool we have here is the inspiration and presets. If we open that up, we've got some lens presets here, and if we hover over any of these, it'll give us a preview of what the camera is doing based on each of those descriptions. If you click on one of these, it adds it into your prompt. And then within the prompt, you've got a drop down so you can switch to one of the other presets. You can also create and save your own presets. I'm going to take out that handheld device filming and we'll just say generate. That'll be with Kling 2.1 Pro since we had professional checked. I should have mentioned there's a drop down here for the duration, 5 or 10 seconds, and also the number of outputs you want when you click generate. Since we ran this with Kling 2.1 on the professional, let's also try this with Kling 2.1 master. We'll leave everything the same, 5 seconds, 1 output, and generate. And here's how that turned out with Kling 2.1 Pro. As usual, I'm not sure about those sound effects, but otherwise pretty cool. And here it is using Kling 2.1 Master with ships materializing and holograms and things disappearing. Oh my. My name is Bob and I appreciate you hanging out with me. I hope you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, and I hope you'll come back and see me in another video.